BrightBearsInfo is a student-led nonprofit organization. Our mission is to provide you guys, high school students around the world, with resources that will help you reach your full potential. But first, here is a message from our founders.
Hello everyone, my name is Lingshan and I'm a grade 11 student.
And I am Sakshi, also a grade 11 student, and together we are the co-founders of BrightBearsInfo. Thank you so much for coming to our monthly webinar, and we hope this webinar will help you gain insight into different careers as well as help you discover yourself.
So for anyone who doesn't already know us, we are BrightBearsInfo. BrightBearsInfo is a student-led nonprofit organization, and our mission is to help provide high school students all around the world with opportunities and resources that will help them explore careers and discover their passions. We know that high school could be a pretty challenging time, and finding opportunities may be especially difficult during this pandemic. Hence, we created BrightBearsInfo. We post opportunities that are beneficial to high school students to help them learn and gain experience from, while also discovering new things. In May 2020, after noticing a lack of opportunities for career exploration due to the COVID-19 pandemic closing all in-person events, as well as a lack of connectivity with students, we decided to initiate BrightBearsInfo. It has been a journey to say the least. However, it's all been worth it as we were able to find a passion that we not only enjoy, but also commit to.
As long as you have the confidence and passion, you can be a leader in any team. Your experiences are completely up to you. Finding a passion that you may enjoy is hard, but once you find it, you can make a huge difference in your communities. We could not have asked for a better team to help plan, organize, and host events, as well as help provide content. They were there for every success and struggle. So, in 2021, we decided to create a monthly webinar series. A webinar series to help with career exploration and making student life better. So every month for 7 months, we will be inviting special guests to provide insights about different fields and programs. We will be posting a recording of all of our webinars and future events on our YouTube page, so be sure to check it out after this webinar. We have some special things planned for 2021, such as university preparation workshops, as well as an opportunities fair. If you would like to stay updated on all of our events and opportunities, be sure to follow us either on Instagram or TikTok. Remember that every month we will be having a special draw where every attendee will be entered to win a $10 gift card of their choice. Good luck!
We look forward to seeing you at our next webinar. Bye!
So as mentioned in the video, we are going to be posting all of our webinars and future events on our YouTube page. So definitely be sure to check that out after this webinar. But also make sure to look at BrightBearsInfo on all of our socials, such as YouTube, Spotify, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, and Twitter.
To begin our webinar, here's the agenda for today's webinar. First, we will introduce our guests, Ms. Kllapi, Ms. Hardeo, Ms. MacKay, and Jackie Quives. Then we will jump right back in for a live Q&A session. In this webinar, you can get a chance to ask our panelists, consisting of 2 guidance counselors, a career planning teacher, and a human resources professional, any questions you may have regarding career building. Please make sure to stay on mute and keep your cameras off the entire time for minimal distractions. And type any questions you have in the chat, and have them in the chat, which you should be able to see on your Zoom platform. Please do not spam the chat and do not ask questions that have already been answered.
Now we'll be explaining the format of how you, the attendees, can ask your questions. So we are going to be splitting the webinar into sections, and the first one is going to be about high school. So you can ask any of your questions regarding high school, but once we do move on to the next section, we do ask that you do not ask any further questions on the topics that we have already covered. So after high school is finished, we are going to be moving on to finding the perfect career for you, and then job applications, and finally other. You can ask any questions for our panelists, just as long as they are appropriate. And to start off, we're going to let our guests introduce themselves briefly. So, Ms. Kllapi, can you start us off and tell us who you are and what career building means to you?
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Ms. Kllapi, and just a bit about me. So I grew up in Toronto, Ontario in Canada, and that's also where I went to university. I attended York University and I completed my master's in education. And as a result, I'm currently a teacher in Brampton, Ontario. To get into our information here about what career building means to me, well, as I tell all of my students, career building really involves reflecting, taking time to think a bit about who you are and what you want to do, exploring, deciding, and preparing for your future goals and aspirations. Discovering your interests and strengths, I think, is a really good first step. So that's part of that reflecting piece. And this is what is going to help prepare you for possible occupation and education pathways. Building a successful career takes time. It doesn't just happen over a day. It takes effort, a lot of perseverance, and patience. And along the way, you're going to have to make sacrifices, go out of your comfort zone, and keep an open mind. The process is going to take time, as I mentioned, courage, and of course, commitment. And as I always like to tell myself, Rome wasn't built in a day, but people were laying bricks every day. So it is definitely a process, but you will all get there. Thank you.
I am a teacher. I have been a teacher with the Toronto District School Board for the past 18 years. I went to York University first with a BA in political science and then returned for teachers college. With regards to career building, for me, what I think is important, I think a person gathering skills and knowledge in order to not just reach a destination, but to ultimately build the capacity to continue towards different levels in your career. So, like a destination, but really a journey. And so, what are you going to do? So, in terms of having the skills to transition to a foundation to navigate things like the pandemic or other things that may come your way, and to help you transition successfully in a variety of positions and opportunities.
Sorry, Ms. Hardeo, I don't think your audio was working, so we unfortunately didn't get to hear your answer. But yeah, sorry, we weren't able to hear you. So hopefully you're able to fix that, but I think in the meantime, we can move on to Ms. MacKay for now.
Hi, everyone. My name is Erin Mckay. I'm also a guidance counselor and I work with Ms. Hardeo. And so I guess a little bit about me is I also grew up in Toronto, went to the University of Guelph for an undergrad. I actually started in criminal justice and public policy, which was quite I guess, a leap from the path that I'm on now, and which was actually I would say I'm more passionate about where I am now than where I was. I quickly changed into a drama and English program and then went on to Queen's University for Teachers College. And I was an English and drama and dance teacher, and now I'm a guidance counselor. So to me, career building is thinking about who you are and using that to plan for your future. So as a high school student, you're discovering what your passion is, and your passion can change and it can develop. But through those changes and developments, you're creating a path for yourself that will allow you to find a career that makes you happy and fulfilled. As you continue on your journey, you build capacity and understanding by gaining experiences, knowledge, and skills related to your career. It's really important to think that, your career is an end goal, but career building is the journey that provides you with the building blocks to get there. So, and also careers can change, and that's totally okay. And, paths can change. And so everything is about adapting and changing and really following your passion, and you want to make sure that you're happy in life. And so then, life is what you make of it. So I always say that it's really important to follow your passion and make sure that you're happy.
Hi everyone, my name is Jackie. I actually am located in Southern California, near Disneyland, just to keep it simple. But I have a background in recruitment and currently work in HR as an HR administrator. I graduated from the University of California, Irvine with a bachelor's degree in social ecology, which essentially is a hybrid of psychology and sociology. I've gone through a lot of different roles that led me to my ultimate passion. And so to me, career building is really utilizing tools and resources to help you in high school to gain knowledge and experience and skills that will be stepping stones to your career, which of course is a marathon. It's not a sprint, it's a long game. It's going to take time to really figure out what that is. And so whether, again, that's talking to your career counselor, utilizing resources, hopping on webinars like today, talking to people in desired industries, really stepping outside of your comfort zone to really discover what that passion is. I think Ms. McKay said it well, that the passion that you have is ultimately important for you to find what you ultimately want to do in life, and that can change many times until you find your one awesome career. And so really take advantage of what's available at your fingertips, even just with your own cell phone. And so take advantage of these things that will help you develop, that will benefit you, that will improve you both personally and professionally. And if you start that now, you'll see the fruits of your labor in the long run. And I just like to say the world is your oyster. So, take advantage of that and just see what this world has to offer for you. And I'm excited to chat with you all and be with these other panelists. So thank you.
Those are all amazing answers. Thank you so much. So now you guys, the attendees, you can start rolling in your questions that you have for the high school section for the Q&A. But before we do that, we are going to ask all of our panelists just to explain their career journey, starting from high school and naming any obstacles they had along the way. So, talking about like how you found your interest in high school, and then how that continued into post-secondary, and then like job applications after that, and finally to where you are now. Ms. Kllapi, did you want to start us off?
Yes, of course. So once again, hello, my name is Ms. Kllapi, and I think there are a couple of things to consider when you're in high school. And the first is selecting and thinking about a career that works for you. And so for me, and the reason why I say that is because when I was thinking of what I wanted to do, I was really looking at the people around me, my siblings, my cousins, my friends. And I went into programs, I would say, and thought about taking programs that other people were doing. But then I realized that that wasn't working out. So number one, pick something that you're interested in and that is what is going to work best. Next, one thing that I really think is important is thinking a bit about time management. So trying to really hone in on that skill when you're in high school so that when you move on to post-secondary, you're really reflecting and thinking about how you're going to balance your time. One thing that I think that I kind of struggled with is really just trying to balance my time between working and also being in school. So thinking a bit about finances as well and how you're going to really set yourself up. When I was in university, I applied to a lot of different places to gain as much experience as I could. And I found that that really helped me because I was able to figure out what I really wanted to invest my time in. So I spent some time in the business field and accounting. I moved into and I was working with the York Regional Police for some time, and then finally went into teaching. So again, your interest can change, and that's okay. you don't have to pick something and commit to it for the rest of your life. Things have changed and you have that movement and that flexibility. And so once you realize that and realize that there's so many options for you out there, then that's a start. So I'll leave it there and add some more detail after that.
Okay, I'll try this again. Can you guys hear me now? You
Yes.
can hear me. Okay. Sorry about that. So I completely agree with all the other comments about the word passion. I know it sounds like a cliche and it sounds kind of corny, but it really is true. For me, I did not think I was going to be a teacher or wanted to be a teacher from high school. I had other ideas of maybe what I wanted to pursue. And I am, I'm happy that I did what I did. And then I had the opportunity to work, and it's through my job that I really reflected on what I wanted to do and where I saw myself. And so I do think that is important, that you have to look inward and kind of see where your strengths and where your passion and where your interests lie, and figure out a path to get there. And you may have people that are supportive, and you may have those that say it's a dream, and it's sort of not really worth pursuing, but you really do have to be confident in that choice, and use the resources available to you, use the access, the information, the people in order to help you to achieve that goal. So I would say that I, really enjoy learning, and I really enjoy working with adults and young people. And that's how I decided to pursue that option of choosing to be a teacher, and specifically a high school teacher. I really, my hat's off to elementary teachers. I think it's a really challenging thing. So again, it's something that I think it does take time, and it doesn't mean that because you have what I was trying to say before in my introduction regarding career building, it doesn't mean because you have reached to this point where, say, now that I am a teacher and I've been in this role for 19 years, it doesn't mean that this is the only role that a person can have, that I could decide to continue on in a similar pathway, but perhaps a completely different pathway. And so it's a journey. It's not necessarily just a destination.
Thank you, Ms. Hardeo. Ms. McKay, would you like to answer the question next?
Sure. So I kind of touched on it a little bit. And it's funny that my mother dropped off a whole box of stuff that was in her basement because she's planning on moving, and in it had old diaries and stuff. And so dating, I know you asked in high school, but in terms of what I wanted to do with my life, I had it all planned out that I was going to be a drama and dance teacher. And then later on, I said maybe English. And so it actually dates before high school. I had this idea in mind. And then when I'm going to date myself here, I had OAC, so I had grade 13. And when I was in grade 13, I decided, you know what, I don't want to be a teacher anymore. I want to go into law. I think that's what I want to do. And when I was in my first year university in this, different program, I realized I hated it. It wasn't what I wanted to do. And I quickly changed programs. And I actually ran into my guidance counselor a year later, and I had told her that I switched programs. And she said, I knew you would. And so it was kind of, interesting that my passion changed, and it hadn't changed. And it's actually, where I wanted to go. And I got there. Went to teachers college, but still didn't know if I would be hired. I worked a bit in project management. And the only reason I got the job in project management was because I had the bachelor's degree in education, and they wanted somebody to be able to train. And so it was a bit of a, blip and a difference. And I was working with adults, which wasn't really what I wanted. And, once I became a high school teacher, I decided that I was happy, and I liked working with young students, and yeah, I enjoy going to work every day.
So high school, oh man. I was very involved in high school. I did student government for 4 years. I did varsity tennis for 4 years. Was involved in all the clubs. But once I graduated and decided to go to UCI, I went in undecided. I did not know what I wanted to do or even major in or have a degree in. So freshman and sophomore year, I was able to try different classes and see what I hated. I hated math, still hate math. I didn't like poli sci, and I liked psychology. So I'm like, that's a good direction. And then kind of fast forward to graduating, I also didn't know what I wanted to get a job in, my first job post grad. My first job was in customer service at a call center for Honda, and learned a lot of great foundational skills, and then sort of pivoted away from a call center and got into technical recruiting. And then from there transitioned to staffing, which led me to actually transition into nonprofit. And I've been with this wonderful, amazing nonprofit, Big Brothers Big Sisters, for 4 years now, and currently work in HR. So it's kind of, you go through this wave of discovery and really honing in on what you love to do and what you hate. And when you know you don't like something, that's a good start. I feel like people often think, especially in high school, like, I need to know what I like, I need to know what I want to do. But when you know what you don't like, that's also a great start. But kind of thinking back on high school and what I was involved in high school, college, and even now, I'm really good with people. I'm really good with talking and building relationships. And so that has been a solid foundation just through my career and through high school and college. And so again, I think Ms. Hardeo mentioned it, hone in on your strengths and what you're good at and what you love to do. And that will really translate far in discovering opportunities and whether it's internships, clubs, leadership positions, really take advantage of that. But know that your journey is so different from everyone else. My mom's a nurse, my sister a retired nurse, and my sister's a nurse. And so there was this pressure to become a nurse as well. But I'm like, I don't like science. I was bad at bio. And so I went against the grain and didn't follow that path. So know that you want to follow what you believe in and not what others have to say, not what your parents, society, your family, just follow what your heart says, and that'll ultimately help you make the best decision for you in the future.
Thank you all for sharing your career journeys with us. I think the biggest takeaway from hearing all of your stories is that your career journey is not always going to be what you expect. And it's really just like a trial and error. So thank you again. So now we're going to be moving on into the Q&A for our first section, which is on high school. So the first question that we have is, as a high school student, how do I choose the best career for me if I don't know what I want to do? So maybe Ms. McKay or Ms. Hardeo, did you want to start us off with that question?
I just wanted to reiterate what Ms. Cuevas just said is exactly kind of the answer to that, is that basically, I think it's scary to say that I'm going into post-secondary without an exact plan. And I think that's why we like that idea. But being undeclared, it's okay. It's okay if you know, like a sort of group, like I too knew that math wasn't for me. And so I knew that I wasn't going to go into engineering like my dad and my sister. And so it's like, you really have to you can have a sense, but it doesn't have to be written in stone. It doesn't have to be laid out. And I do think exploring and taking a variety of courses is really helpful in helping you to kind of navigate that.
And to kind of touch on that as well, I'm in second year university, I lived with 5 other girls. So there were 6 of us, and 5 out of 6 of us changed programs at some point. So you may have an idea of what you want to do, but you change, and your idea of you don't know what it's going to look like when you get there. And so you don't know until you try.
Jackie or Ms. Kllapi, did you have anything you want to add on to that, or?
I think in high school, you're still developing and growing, that you don't have to know the end all be all. It's about yeah, getting a sense of what you like and what you maybe want to pursue or learn more about. But as far as, knowing what career you need to figure out in high school, you don't. And that's sort of the best way to answer this question. It's you don't have to know the answer. Some do, some know they want to be a doctor or a dentist or a lawyer or become an actor and actress, and that's great. But if that's not you, cut yourself some slack and some credit that you can take time in making that decision, because again, some people pivot and change careers when they're 50. Needless to say, you don't have to know when you're 16 years old, 17 years old. So I would just kind of preface that, like, you don't have to know, and don't put so much pressure to know and have a final answer.
And just to touch on what Jackie was saying, I think it's so important that we don't compare our paths to other people. Focus on you. And one thing that I found really helpful for myself is the power of talking and talking to people. When you say things out loud, you can kind of check yourself. Hey, this is something that I'm actually really interested in. Let me pursue it. Or, you know what, I've said this out loud and it's not feeling good. And then you can kind of go back and reflect on that. So talking to people, reaching out, even if it's to your friends, to siblings, parents, and guidance counselors, because then they can help you and give you resources to see where you might want to go and the options that are there for you. So don't internalize things, don't keep them in, talk to people, because you never know what they may offer and how it may help you. So I would definitely suggest that, and it's okay to not know, but I will just kind of end it off by saying that the worst thing that you can do is not try. So try different things, explore, and put yourself out there. And I think that is a great way to move forward with that.
Thank you so much. Yes, I totally agree with all of you guys, because I know when I was picking my courses, it was like a really hard time. I was like talking to people, my friends, and they all kind of knew what they wanted to do. And I was in like this dark moment for a minute, like, oh, they all know what they want to do. I was like, well, why am I unsure about what I should do? But yeah, I totally agree that maybe your career doesn't have to stay the same all the time. The next question we have is, what can we be doing as high schoolers right now that our future selves will thank us for in terms of careers? So Ms. Kllapi, do you want to start us off again?
Sure. So first of all, I just want to say that I will be talking about things and saying things, but take it with a grain of salt, because everybody is going to have their own life experiences. So I can only speak from my experience and give you the best possible advice that I have. So what I would say is, as a high school student, I know that with COVID right now, it can be difficult, but really try to immerse yourself in any extracurricular programs to try out new things and to see what you like. And so that's definitely a start. And I would also just say that spending time on yourself, taking care of your mental health, and taking care of yourself, and having a balance between school life, your own personal life, your friends, and your family. So you're not spending too much time on one thing. Trying new things, attending seminars like this, I think is such a wonderful start, hearing different people's opinions. And then from that point on, you can definitely push yourself. And finally, I will say just reading up on things that you're interested in, and pushing yourself, and not only taking care of your physical body, but for your mental mind as well. And I think that definitely is a great start.
Thank you, Ms. Kllapi. Ms. Hardeo, do you want to go next?
Yes, I think that because of COVID, it is a bit limiting right now. But one of the things that we try to emphasize is students are often very focused on the academics. And so they're very focused on percentages, right? Like, I have to have 90s, or I have to have this. And what we have found, and Ms. MacKay can probably attest to this, is at the end, when they're starting to apply for programs and the programs start asking them, really competitive programs especially, start asking them, well, who are you? And what else do you have that, makes you distinct from the other person? They're usually at a loss, because they only students have built this worth around that percentage. And really, it is about experiences. And it could be something that it's, whether it's volunteer or a job, it could be working at the grocery store. That is an experience, right? And all these things that we think maybe have no relevance or importance actually do. And they help to make us who we are, and they build. And that's often why you get these questions. You know, students are sort of perplexed when they get these questions because they're applying to be a doctor and they don't really understand why they're getting this critical thinking question sort of thing, right? So it's kind of like, try as much as you can. Hopefully things will change. But if you see opportunities, take advantage of them.
Thank you so much, Ms. Hardeo. And Ms. McKay and Jackie, since we have some limited time, we're going to move on to the next section, which is job applications. So the question is, do you recommend getting a job during high school? And if so, what would you put on your first resume?
I think what Ms. Hardeo was saying, just any opportunity to gain experience. You know, Starbucks, grocery stores, restaurants are all solid, good first jobs because you're learning time management, multitasking, customer service, which is an excellent skill to have in any job. My first job in high school was at Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory. I served chocolate covered strawberries and chocolates. But from that role, I learned customer service. I learned how to deal with tough, rude people, how to manage money, worker register, just all these different things where you can gain skills. Transferable skills, I think, is the biggest thing. So I wouldn't say like what type of job. I would really focus more on like, okay, what do I like? Do I like people? Do I want to be more quiet? Like maybe look into, I don't know, like a library assistant or receptionist. Again, I know we're in COVID, it's a little bit limiting, but hone in on what you like and what you're good at. And then there's definitely opportunity to gain skills. And I know sometimes, you know, a store clerk may not sound, you know, prestigious, but ultimately it does come down to experience and the skills that you learn that you can take with you throughout, you know, post high school, internships, jobs, and your career. So I would focus more on that.
Thank you, Jackie. That was really such good advice. Always focus on the experience, never really the job title. So that's a really good tip. Ms. McKay, would you like to add on or give us another answer?
I mean, I think it was a great answer and it really covered a lot of it. And in terms of the second part, like what would you put on your first resume? All of you as high school students have to do volunteer hours, and that those community service experiences, the volunteer experiences that you have, those are real experiences. And so, you know, putting those on, so it's not just about giving back to the community, it's also about, you know, again, building those experiences and having, you know, different ones. And my advice to high school students is, you know, to get your volunteer hours done early so that later on you can take a leadership role in those volunteer experiences. And those leadership roles are, you know, so great for your resume, but also so great about learning about who you are. So that's kind of the only thing I would sort of add to.
All right, thank you. I think that's like really great advice. A lot of like what Ms. Hardeo said earlier, like so many high school students are just caught up with the grades. Like I know personally, me and all my friends, especially in grade 12, we're just so focused on like getting the grades to get into like the programs we want. But it's also like really important to build the soft skills, like how to communicate with people, time management, because those are the skills that you're gonna actually use like when you get like a real job in the real world. So thank you. The next question that we have is, as a high school student, what can I do to make my job application stand out? And how can I make my job application stand out when the COVID-19 pandemic has closed all the in-person events? Jackie, did you want to start?
Sure. I mean, I think what we all said for the last question still resonates for this exact question. As far as like how to make your application stand out, it does still come down to experience and the things that you've done to develop skills that you can apply to future jobs, future internships, future programs. So as far as like what to put and what will stand out, just thinking having my recruiting hat on, I really look for the skills in what did you do? What did you accomplish? What did you achieve? Oftentimes, and I think this is a very common perception with resumes, is you want to put your responsibilities, filed papers, answered phone calls, but what helps kind of stand out further is what did you achieve from those responsibilities? How many phone calls did you answer? How many customers did you serve a day? Anything where you can quantify and really show value of what you brought to the table in terms of your specific responsibilities. So when you're putting together your resume, don't just think, okay, I did all these things, more like tactical stuff, but really think about being it results oriented. Focus on your achievements, the impact. What value did you bring? Did you change any processes? Did you, implement something into how to bag groceries that makes it 5 seconds faster? Whatever the case may be, I think if you, that's a great way to stand out with your experience, is take it a step further and showcase the results and the value that you brought in whatever role, whether it was volunteering, you as a barista, anything like that. I would definitely recommend doing that for sure.
Awesome. Did any of the other panelists have anything to add on, or I think we kind of covered it? Yeah. Okay. So another question that we have is, what colleges look better on applications for jobs, or does what college you go to even matter? I think any of our panelists can answer. Anyone want to start us off?
I mean, I think there are, different universities are known for different things, but in kind of an undergrad, it really doesn't kind of matter where you go. It's where you go after the undergrad, after you're done, your 4 years undergrad. If you're going to go on to something, then you may want to go to a school that sort of specializes in that, or is known for that. And then that may stand out on an application. But in terms of an undergrad in Canada anyway, they are, there isn't really, people have their beliefs, like what schools are better, but those are really just, beliefs.
Yeah, I'll second what Ms. McKay said. And prior to this, before becoming a teacher, and I also worked in customer service, I don't recall anyone ever really looking at a resume and saying, oh no, this person, they went to Brock University. I don't think we can consider them. Nobody, like in Ontario, in Canada, I don't think that's really a thing. It depends on what you're applying to. It depends on what you're interested in. It depends on what you want. If you want to physically move away and have that experience and go there. I know in Ontario, we tend to be a little less willing to do that due to a combination of factors like cost and, not really being sure. But it doesn't really matter, is basically the short answer of it, for us at least.
Would any of the other panelists like to add on?
Yeah, just something really quickly. Once again, in the greater scheme, it doesn't really matter, but I think what matters is your experience and also your interview as well, and how you kind of market yourself, talk about yourself, how you present yourself. That can be even more important than the school that you went to. As long as you have an education and you're working towards something, I think that's a good start, and it shows you're determined and willing to push yourself. And that's a skill that a lot of employers are looking for.
Thank you so much for sharing. And the last question for this section would be, is it better to apply to jobs I know I will get hired at, or is it better to apply to jobs where the chances of me getting accepted are extremely low, but I'm passionate about the job?
That's a really good question. I think both. Challenge yourself. If you're passionate about it and you are like, I'm so pumped, I can do this, the company's great, I want to be a part of that team. That passion, in addition to the skills and experience that you have, will translate very far in the interview process. But oftentimes too, on the flip side, kind of attesting to the first part of this question, job seekers and candidates apply for jobs that seem easy. I am guilty of that. I was like, oh yeah, customer service, receptionist, admin assistant. Not to say all jobs are easy or hard. I just thought in my mind, I was going more so for convenience and easy versus jobs and companies that excited me, that challenged me. So in a sense, I would say go for both. Yes, some jobs are a little bit more competitive than others, but again, it comes down to skills, experience, passion, excitement. So I wouldn't limit yourself to kind of what makes you feel a certain way, whether it's easy, less competitive versus very competitive, but I'm really excited. Go against the grain and just go for it all. Don't limit yourself. Don't inhibit your potential and your value. Because oftentimes I think we're our own biggest critic, and we prevent ourselves from applying to roles and internships and programs because we're scared, we're fearful, we're doubtful. But if you hone in on like, I'm a valuable person, I am good at A, B, and C, I'm so passionate, I'm excited, that in turn, again, will really translate well to employers, to hiring managers. So hone in on that versus like convenience and what's easy, what can I easily get a job in, because easy, while it's easy and you can get it, but if you think long-term and what skills you can get, you grow more when you challenge yourself. When you kind of keep it easy and keep it convenient, you kind of use the same skills versus trying to improve and gain new skills. So to answer the question, I would say both, but more so go towards passion and challenge.
Awesome. Did anyone else have anything they want to add to that? Okay. So now we're going to be moving on to the next section that we have for finding your career. So the first question that we have here is, what if you know what you want to do, but there are always low paying careers? What can you do about that? Ms. Kllapi, did you want to answer that?
Of course. That is a really great question. I think that when we focus too much, though, on the amount of money, it really kind of takes away from the experience. I think what we need to focus on is building that experience, right? So starting somewhere and using that as a stepping stone. So, for example, with me, when I worked at York Regional Police, I love that experience. And then I realized, you know what, I actually really like teaching. They have this program. It's called the Community Safety Village, where you teach children about road safety, fire safety. And I did that. They had asked me to do it one day randomly because somebody was absent. I was like, whoa, this is great. And then I wanted to go into teaching, but I had zero experience. So before I went into teaching, I actually went into daycare. Not something that I wanted to do, not a great paying job, but I changed diapers and did that. Then I got that experience, which then led me to where I am now. So yeah, it's not maybe going to be $100,000 or, maybe the best paying job out there, but start somewhere because that's what's going to help you. You're not going to be there forever, but take that skill, take that experience, and it will definitely help out in the long term.
And if I can just add on to that, that's a great, a great answer. I think sometimes because of what you guys have experienced and observed, perhaps because of social media, it seems like everyone around us is almost instantaneously achieving all their goals or things that they have to do, but we don't always see like the process. We see like the end result, and we kind of feel like, wow, like I'll be honest, in high school, I wasn't, organizing webinars. I mean, yes, they didn't exist, but I wasn't doing things like this. So, our hats off to you that you guys are doing this. And so it's just that there's it takes a while. It doesn't happen overnight, and there has to be little like steps of like, okay, I want to be there, and so I'm going to do this. I'm going to take this course at night. I'm going to work during the day. I'm going to, you know, read this book, like whatever it is. It could be small, it can be big, but it takes time. It really does take time. Like we all don't, you know, become the CEO immediately.
And also the old cliche that, you know, money doesn't buy happiness. And so, you know, thinking about that and, you know, I mean, if you're really juggling between the two and your sort of end goal is just not going to make you the money, you know, what are you more passionate about, the money or the career? And really, and unfortunately, it's a tough decision. But if that's what you're juggling, then you really need to, you know, weigh out the pros and cons and, you know, and make sure that you try it or try something like it. And if it is giving you the happiness and the joy, and that's where you want to be, then maybe the money won't matter. And so I think, you know, you really do have to separate the two and think about you and think about who you are and what you want out of life.
Would any of the other, oh, Jackie, yes, you can answer.
I mean, I'm speechless because everyone said exactly what I was thinking. I think just really quick, it shouldn't be about money. And I think oftentimes, Ms. Hardeo, you mentioned a great point. Like people see the nice car and the house and the flexibility of travel. And it's like, there's also the journey that you have to get to that point. And also, if you think about it, people who are CEOs, co-founders, you know, venture capitalists, they're working a lot. And if you want balance, sometimes money isn't the answer. And so I think it does, and Ms. McKay also said it too, really focus on like, what do you want? If you want money, then no, that's going to take that you're going to have to sacrifice some things. But if you want passion, if you want excitement, if you want, you know, a good career path, that's going to take some sacrifices too. I work a nonprofit, and I think it's across the board where nonprofit salaries and money isn't as competitive as a corporation. But I love what I do. I love the mission. I believe in what we're selling at my organization. And I'm perfectly okay with not making $120,000 at Google. So I wouldn't focus more on the money. Again, if that's your thing, for sure, go for it. But focus more on, again, what excites you and your passion, what you ultimately want to do.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. I think all those answers are very, very true. So another question that we have is, what is your biggest piece of advice that you would give to anyone that is listening right now? Seems like a tough one for all you guys. Miss
No,
McKay.
yeah.
Sorry, Miss Hardeo, you want to say
Yeah,
something?
no, sorry, just had to like think here for a sec. I guess to kind of like summarize, I would say this might be difficult, but don't really focus on yourself and don't get swept away. Because often when I speak to students about their choices, they'll say, well, everybody else was doing this, or nobody was taking that or thinking of this. So I know it's hard as a young person to go against the grain, but you need to be selfish in this instance and think of yourself. I'll leave it at that. Just think of yourself.
I would say, oh man, one piece of advice. I'd say, don't limit yourself. And don't limit yourself in academics. Don't limit yourself in opportunity. Don't limit yourself in volunteering, internships, jobs. Challenge yourself and really put yourself out there and think outside of the box. When you limit yourself from opportunity. You limit yourself from potential new skills that you can essentially take with you through your journey. So it's very broad, but you know, also like Ms. Hardeo said, I'll leave it at that. Just don't limit yourself to life.
I'll go next. So really quick, believe in yourself, be confident in who you are, and look at what you want for yourself. So don't compare yourself to others, focus on what you want, take risks. Things will come up and they're going to make you nervous and uncomfortable, but try new things, gain new experiences, and explore the possibilities that are out there. Push yourself to really be active, to try to be a little bit more involved and engaged. And I think that through that, you'll learn so much more about yourself, who you are, what you like, and where you want to go, and take it from there.
I guess I'm last. I would say that don't be afraid to make mistakes. We all make mistakes, and some are big, some are small, and we learn from them all. And so if you decide to go into, first year engineering and you realize that you had no idea what engineering was about, that's okay. And if you realize you didn't like it, that's okay. And so, it's okay to make changes. And, in the grand scheme of things, if it tacks on an extra year to your program, it's 1 year out of your life. And, you don't want to be doing 4 years of something you don't enjoy or 25 years of something that you don't enjoy. And so don't be afraid to make mistakes, and don't be afraid to make changes to be your best self.
I agree with all of the answers. Like, they were like the best advice I get for like all high school students. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing your valuable advice. And I'm sure that I speak on behalf of all high school students that we'll surely implement all these advices into our daily life and, make something out of it. So to end things off, so that's all the time we have today. So we're gonna wrap up. So that's the end of Steer Your Career. Thank you to everyone who came today, and we hope that you learned a lot from our guests. We want to thank our panelists, Ms. Kllapi, Ms. MacKay, Ms. Hardeo, and Jackie for joining us today. And remember, if you attended this webinar today, then you will automatically be entered in a draw to win a $10 gift card. We will be sending out emails shortly, which will have the name of the winner. If the person does not reply within 48 hours, we will pick out a new winner.
And if you have any more questions, feel free to connect with us on Instagram or any of our other socials, BrightBearsInfo. And if you're looking for any more opportunities such as the one today, make sure to check out more opportunities on Instagram, because that's where we post weekly opportunities. And we also have future events planned happening throughout the course of this year. So our next monthly webinar is going to be happening next month in February. And that's going to be all about personal development and stress coping. So be sure to check that out. Registrations are going to be opening soon. And also, our executive applications are currently open. So if you want to be a part of the BrightBearsInfo team, then be sure to apply to be an executive member through the link in our Instagram bio.
And we will also be posting a recording of these webinars, so you can check out the webinars if you missed anything, and don't forget to subscribe on our YouTube channel. We will also be sending out emails shortly that will include a feedback form, which will be used in our webinar reflection post. So make sure to fill it out for a chance to be featured on our page. So that's the end of our first webinar of monthly webinar series, and I want to thank all of you guys for attending our first event of the year. Stay tuned, and we'll hope to see you all soon. Bye, everyone.